Yeah, that's what he's going to be talking about, all the future of that automation side as well. And he's also founder of Sid Ethereum, so he's probably the genesis block, if you like, for the Sydney Ethereum community. He's also the founder of Hackathon and Future. He does a whole bunch of things, and I'd just like to also thank the transhumanist community that's been there from the start. Hands up if you've already sort of been part of a transhumanist meetup or spoken at a meetup like before. Thank you. And hands up who hasn't. This is the first time you've been here. Well, welcome, and yeah, well, I hope to see you next time as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Nathan Moore.
Thanks, guys.
Oops,
I know
that's Steve. There we go.
You're presenting about me.
Steve. There you go.
Yeah. So Peter asked me like what talk about whatever you want to. So I was like, well, I just finished mapping all the human needs and kind of working out, based on if you go down all the list of human needs, which ones are likely to get better in the future, and which ones are just getting worse. And so everything's shit but getting better. Except housing, freedom, purpose, and equality. So this is kind of the goal. Like really, once we get to the singularity, everything else is moot. So if you don't know what the singularity is that point where we kind of, I guess some people define it as like where AI and artificial intelligence kind of overtake humanity and they just exponentially grow. Or I kind of define it as like the point where we just merge with machines, and after that it's just crazy town. Like none of this fleshy monkey business. No assholes, just like pure digital energy and just
There'll be digital assholes.
So I don't know. I kind of boiled down this so I'm kind of entrepreneurial. I like doing startups. I like kind of making stuff, and yeah, and I kind of just I've always thought of jobs as slavery, so I've always tried to work out how to avoid getting a job, and that led to startups. And then that led to basically becoming very anti-capitalist, as you do, because jobs are slavery and capitalists are our slave owners. So I kind of mapped all the future human needs out, and then just mapped into the different projects that I want to work on. So I'm currently working on just a real estate type startup at the moment, just to try and generate money. But then I want to work on Purism, which I've been kind of off and on, kind of formulating and trying to get different ideas happening, and I can explain that later. And then also van homes. I can explain that. So I'll quickly go through these because I've got a lot of slides. So maybe you just read them as I go through. So air quality, so human need air. It's actually pretty bad these days. But in the future, air pollution's trending down. If you look at all the graphs, we're inevitably going to get 100% clean energy, renewables. It's just inevitable. The economics is driving it. We're going to have all electric on-demand transport. We're going to have satellite monitoring, and you're about to see instantaneously where the pollution's coming from for any type of pollution. Yeah. Water, again, it's shit. I looked up, apparently a child dies every 2 minutes of a waterborne disease. People waste 200 million hours every day fetching water, and the UN says that 5 billion people will suffer water shortage in 2050. But we live on a water planet. So if you can kind of solve energy, if you have abundant energy, kind of goes the kind of claim, then you can have desalination, because desalination is really just a cost issue. And you've got places like Israel that I think they're already at the point where they're actually desalinating so much water that they're exporting it to their neighbors. So water should be fine in the future. All of these should, like asterisks. Housing, yeah. Sydney's like one of the most unaffordable places, so it's 12 times the annual income. If it's 3 times, that's considered unaffordable. So we're 12 times. 75% of all global housing markets are classified as unaffordable around the world. People typically spend, the average is usually like 30% on their rent and usually 50% on their mortgage. And by 2025, 1.6 billion will lack access to adequate housing. In the future, it's still going to be shit. Because we're urbanizing, so most people are moving into cities. I don't really see that changing. I mean, there's the argument that if we get hyperloops and VR and all this other stuff, we'll kind of spread out and we'll want to live outside the cities. But then it's like, well, people like being together. We're a social creature. So I think even if we have like perfect VR, I think we're still going to want to centralize in cities. You've got zoning issues where you look at the suburban sprawl, ideally we should be living in all like giant towers that are close together so that we have access to everything and we're not causing environmental damage and sprawling out everywhere. But also, housing is really just bad because it's a speculative vehicle. That's really what it gets down to. Food, 1 billion people go to bed hungry every night. 7 million premature deaths per year from lack of food, I guess that is. And livestock is 80% of agricultural land. But in the future, GMO, lab-grown, vertical farming, robotic farming, drone deliveries, like we should be able to solve our food shortage issue. Clothing today, so 85% of clothes are thrown out in landfill. It actually emits more CO2 than aviation and shipping combined. And it's obviously exploiting poor workers. We're all wearing Chinese clothes. We don't know where they came from. Maybe blockchain can fix that. Maybe blockchain will become a really terrible scathe in the landscape. Who knows? Clothing in the future, fully autonomous robotic factories, direct to consumer, more recycling, renewable, digital e-ink. I love the idea of like, it'd be great if we could just wear morph suits that just like climate controlled and they just change the pattern on the outside and everyone can just wear the same thing and not have to worry about what you're going to wear in the morning. I wear the same SpaceX shirt every day just because it's easy and it fits well. But yeah, it'd be great to just have dynamic e-ink morph suits. Sanitation, it's pretty bad. 1 in 3 lack access to a toilet. And other things. 280,000 people die of diarrhea every year. Really bad. In the future, it's getting better. You can look at the stats like over-defecation is going down. We're going to have maybe things like waterless toilet seats and stuff like that. Energy, 80% of the world currently uses fossil fuels. 2 billion cars, combustion engine cars by 2030, using 100 billion oils a barrel per day. But in the future, solar is actually already the cheapest form of energy, pretty much in most places in the world. We've still just got to crack the battery thing, which is kind of happening. It's inevitable that we're all going to have all electric on-demand transport, and if that happens, you don't need 2 billion cars, you need maybe a couple of 100 million, because I think cars are only used like, 97% of the time they're just sitting idle. They're all parked. You walk down the streets, parked cars. Parked cars, empty houses, it's weird. Safety, so yeah, today there's a lot of active conflicts, still a lot of deaths, $1.7 trillion on global military spending. In the future, it's going to go down hopefully, unless there's the caveat like autonomous weapons and climate change, like that could make things a lot worse for a lot of people. Education, yeah, it's kind of another speculative vehicle that people are exploiting, a lot of companies. But in the future, and even now, I think things like universities are kind of irrelevant today, even though we go to them for the cultural aspect and the social aspect more than anything. But most employers don't even care about degrees anymore, and we're getting to the point where it's 100% free online education from the best in the world. Healthcare, I think this is from like the US. I think the US kind of brings this down. But yeah, we spend a lot on healthcare, a lot of people still die. We still have death, we haven't cured aging yet. In the future, hopefully immortality, hopefully it all goes down. AI, robotics, organ printing, preventative healthcare, quantitative, quantitative, what's that word? We just measure everything.
Quantitative self.
Yes, quantitative self. Tech. Today, 60%, it's kind of like, still like only 55% of people have internet access, which is kind of weird. But in the future, we all know tech's going up, it's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of it, a lot of consumerism. Communications, same thing, it's slow, expensive, but in the future, super fast internet everywhere. I think there's a story today where Elon Musk just like fired a bunch of his managers because they're going too slow in his Starlink project to have the entire world kind of covered in satellites to offer like 1 gigabit per second internet. So that's going to go up. I think we'll have things like mesh nets and stuff like that, but obviously like manipulative AI, filter bubbles, social media, this is all potential caveat. Same thing, transport, 2 billion combustion engine vehicles in the world, it's slow, it's congested, 1.3 million road deaths annually. And in Australia, so we spend 151 hours stuck in traffic annually. For those who drive, I don't have a car, don't need a car. But in the future, Hyperloop tunnels, it's just going to be cheap, it should be accessible to everyone. But okay, so freedom. So yeah, class mobility is declining for the poor. Like basically a lot of places where if you're born into the poor, it's hard to change, which is terrible. I mean, a lot of us, our you know, the livelihood's going down for people. So stat like the lifespan in the US is actually reversed for the first time in a long time, or forever, because of the opioid epidemic. And you know, a lot of people don't have savings, so because we're paid so little, wages have been suppressed for the last